To govern your thoughts is to seize the helm of your own mind, to claim dominion over the ceaseless currents that buffet the soul. Consider for a moment how many lives drift aimlessly, buffeted by impulses, fears, and the ephemeral judgments of others. A mind ungoverned is a tempestuous sea, where every wave is a fleeting emotion, every gust a whisper of distraction. Yet, the human spirit possesses a profound capacity for mastery, a sovereign authority over its own perceptions, judgments, and intentions. The first step toward freedom is the realization that no external circumstance can impose suffering upon you without your consent. The tempest is external, but the storm within is self-fashioned. The habit of careful, deliberate governance of thought transforms the mind from a reactive instrument into a vigilant architect of life itself, shaping the contours of experience with precision and discernment. To govern your thoughts is not merely to suppress them, but to examine them with unwavering attention, to discern which are worthy of your consideration and which are petty, distracting, or destructive. Each thought is a seed, and the soil of your consciousness is fertile. Plant with care and harvest a life of wisdom. Plant recklessly and reap confusion and turmoil. Habituate yourself to the practice of interrogation. Question the veracity of every impulse, every inclination that arises, every fleeting sentiment that seeks to sway the equilibrium of your mind. Is it true? Is it useful? Does it conduce to virtue, to reason, to the steady cultivation of character? The answer to these questions distinguishes the disciplined from the undisciplined, the serene from the perpetually anxious. Begin with the early hours of each day, before the demands of the world press upon your consciousness. Observe the mind as it awakens, note the subtle inclinations that surface, and deliberately choose which to nurture and which to set aside. Practice silence, for in silence the cacophony of unexamined thought is revealed. By observing your inner dialogue with patient curiosity, you cultivate the capacity to redirect attention, to redirect energy, and to prevent the mind from becoming a passive recipient of chaos. This habit, repeated day by day, transforms the mind from a reactive landscape into a deliberate domain, a place where reason reigns supreme and where emotions, though acknowledged, are not tyrannical. Consider the nature of desire and fear, twin currents that often hijack the mind and cloud judgment. Desire, when unexamined, leads to restless craving, insatiable and capricious, always seeking the next object, the next pleasure, the next affirmation. Fear, likewise, magnifies threat beyond reality, distorting perception and constraining action. By cultivating a habit of governing thought, one learns to witness these currents without surrendering to them. Observe the stirrings of desire, note their transient nature, and allow them to pass without attachment. Observe fear, dissect its claims, and recognize how often it conjures shadows where no danger exists. The habitual practice of such observation grants sovereignty over your inner life, ensuring that decisions are guided not by impulse or reaction, but by careful, measured discernment. The discipline of thought also requires the conscious cultivation of attention. In a world inundated with distraction, the mind is constantly solicited by the trivial, the sensational, the ephemeral. To govern your thoughts is to establish boundaries, to draw clear lines between what merits attention and what does not. Focus on what is within your power and disengage from what is not. Habituate yourself to the contemplation of truth, justice, courage, and temperance, allowing these principles to inform your judgments, your choices, and your actions. Through such practice, the mind is trained not merely to resist the sirens of distraction, but to seek sustenance from what nourishes wisdom and fortitude. Reflection is another pillar of thought governance. Engage in deliberate mental review, not as a fleeting exercise, but as a ritual of refinement. Consider the thoughts that dominated your day, the impulses you indulged or restrained, and the judgments you made in response to circumstance. By reviewing the mind's activity with vigilance and honesty, one uncovers patterns of error, recognizes recurring weaknesses, and identifies avenues for improvement. This practice, sustained over time, cultivates a mind that is agile, disciplined, and increasingly adept at navigating the vicissitudes of life with equanimity. Equally important is the recognition that governing thought is inseparable from the cultivation of inner values. Thoughts are the harbingers of action. Unexamined thoughts often precipitate unworthy deeds. To refine the mind is to refine the soul itself, to align intention with virtue, to ensure that every mental gesture resonates with integrity and wisdom. Habituate yourself to thoughts that honor reason, encourage empathy, and fortify courage. Allow gratitude, humility, and patience to flourish within the mental landscape. For these qualities, when rooted in habitual contemplation, become inexhaustible sources of serenity and strength. Language, too, is a vehicle of thought governance. Monitor the vocabulary of your inner dialogue, for words shape perception and perception shapes reality. Replace idle complaint with measured observation, reactive judgment with inquiry, self-pity with reflection. The habitual crafting of thought into language that is deliberate, precise, and consonant with virtue strengthens the mind, erecting a fortress of clarity and insight that guards against chaos, despair, and impulsivity. Moreover, the mind flourishes when aligned with purpose. Consider the principle that every day, every moment, offers opportunity to exercise reason. Habitually orient thought toward the highest aims, service to others, the cultivation of character, and the practice of virtue in all endeavors. By habituating thought in this manner, distraction diminishes, anxiety fades, and the mind becomes a compass, steadfast amid the unpredictable winds of circumstance. Each habitual reflection, each deliberate act of mental governance, is a step toward mastery, a mastery not of external fortune, but of the inner citadel. Where true freedom resides, to govern thought is to engage in a lifelong art, one that demands vigilance, curiosity, and discipline. Each moment offers an opportunity to observe, refine, and redirect. The mind, habituated in this manner, becomes a sanctuary, a place where reason, virtue, and resilience coalesce into a living, breathing expression of excellence. It is here, in the disciplined stewardship of thought, that the soul discovers both power and serenity, both freedom and purpose. To embrace adversity is to recognize that the very obstacles which seem to obstruct the path are in truth the instruments of growth, the chisels that sculpt the character and temper the spirit. Life, in its relentless complexity, does not yield to desire nor to expectation. It delivers circumstances unbidden, unshaped, indifferent to our longing. Yet within this apparent indifference lies the profound opportunity for mastery. The habit of confronting difficulty with intentionality transforms challenge from a source of despair into a vehicle of self-realization. Every trial is a mirror reflecting the depths of courage, patience, and resilience latent within. A call to exercise the faculties of reason and fortitude with precision and steadfastness. Adversity manifests in myriad forms, some subtle and insidious, others abrupt and violent. Pain, loss, betrayal, injustice, failure, each has the power to unsettle the unprepared mind. Yet those who cultivate the habit of embracing such experiences perceive them differently. They see not calamity, but instruction, not misfortune, but the raw material of virtue. The soul that habituates itself to this perspective grows impervious to the tyranny of circumstance. Rather than recoiling, it leans into difficulty, discerning in every obstacle the lessons that refine judgment, illuminate purpose, and fortify endurance. The habit is not passive. It is an active engagement, a deliberate choice to convert the weight of adversity into the leverage of wisdom. Consider the nature of suffering itself. Human beings often resist it as though it were unnatural, as though the universe were obliged to conform to our wishes. Yet the Stoic understands that suffering is not an aberration but an inherent aspect of existence. To resist it, to rail against it, is to magnify its power. To engage it with attention and reason is to neutralize its dominion. Habitually, one may train the mind to reinterpret discomfort, to see it as a test of integrity, a summons to patience, a canvas upon which resilience is painted in the vivid strokes of endurance. Each encounter with adversity is an opportunity to practice the highest virtues, to demonstrate courage not as a fleeting sentiment but as a steadfast habit, cultivated through repetition and conscious engagement. The first step in embracing adversity is acceptance. Acceptance does not signify resignation, nor does it imply indulgence in passivity. It is the clear-eyed acknowledgement of reality, the recognition that the world unfolds according to laws beyond our control, and that our energy is most wisely invested in the response rather than in futile lamentation. By habituating acceptance, the mind ceases to be a battlefield of resistance, freeing attention and intention for constructive action. This clarity of perception is a source of liberation, allowing reason to operate unimpeded by the distortions of anger, fear, or despair. Once acceptance is established, the focus shifts to engagement. Adversity is a teacher, but only for those willing to attend, to extract its lessons with diligence and discernment. In the face of challenge, observe the impulses that arise: fear, impatience, frustration. Do not suppress them superficially, but scrutinize them, interrogate them, and choose deliberate responses rooted in virtue. By habitually engaging difficulty in this manner, one cultivates mental agility, emotional resilience, and moral clarity. Each obstacle faced becomes a rehearsal for excellence, each hardship an opportunity to practice the art of living with equanimity and resolve. Adversity also exposes the fragility of superficial attachments. The sudden loss of comfort, status, or expectation reveals the impermanence of external circumstance, illuminating the inner resources upon which one truly depends. By habituating the mind to this insight, one learns to anchor life not in transitory possessions or accolades, but in the steadfast virtues of character. Courage, integrity, patience, and wisdom become the currency of existence, enduring beyond the shifting fortunes of wealth, fame, or circumstance. This habit of inward focus fosters a freedom inaccessible to those who cling to ephemeral externals, and it engenders serenity even in the midst of tumult. The practice of embracing adversity is amplified by reflection. Contemplate past trials, their sting softened by time, and observe the strength, insight, or resilience they evoked. Recognize that what once seemed insurmountable was in fact a proving ground, shaping faculties of judgment and fortitude that now reside within. Let these reflections cultivate gratitude for the challenges themselves, for the rare gift of opportunity embedded in struggle. Habitually revisiting adversity with such contemplation reinforces the mind's capacity to confront future trials with confidence, clarity, and composure, transforming apprehension into anticipation, fear into disciplined courage. Adversity also invites humility. In its presence, the illusion of control dissolves, revealing the interdependence of circumstance, fate, and human effort. By embracing difficulty, one cultivates the habit of recognizing limits without despair, of acknowledging vulnerability without surrender. This humility is not weakness. It is the measured acknowledgement of reality, a foundation for wisdom that balances confidence with discernment. The habitual practice of humility amidst adversity tempers arrogance, mitigates impulsivity, and fortifies judgment, ensuring that action arises from reasoned deliberation rather than unchecked emotion. Furthermore, adversity demands the practice of perseverance, the habit of sustained effort, even in the absence of immediate reward, is the crucible in which resilience is forged. Each step taken despite discomfort, each choice made in defiance of discouragement, reinforces the neural pathways of fortitude. Over time, the mind becomes habituated to endurance, and endurance, once acquired, radiates into every domain of life. The individual who embraces adversity cultivates a rhythm of consistent action, a cadence of determined effort that renders external turbulence less daunting. For the soul has discovered its own capacity for steadfastness, unwavering amidst the tempests of fortune. Finally, adversity awakens creativity and resourcefulness. Confronted with constraint, limitation, or challenge, the mind is compelled to explore novel strategies, innovative solutions, and adaptive responses. Habitually embracing difficulty fosters a dynamic intelligence, a capacity to navigate complexity with ingenuity, to perceive opportunities where others see obstacles, and to transform apparent defeat into triumph of insight and strategy. The mind becomes a laboratory of experimentation, where each challenge is a problem to be solved with patience, courage, and imagination, strengthening faculties of discernment and judgment. To practice self-discipline is to bind the wandering will with the firm cords of reason, to forge the character in the crucible of deliberate choice, and to allow no transient impulse or fleeting desire to dictate the course of one's life. Self-discipline is not mere restriction or abstinence. It is the conscious cultivation of virtue through habitual action, the deliberate alignment of thought, word, and deed with the highest ideals. The mind that is disciplined does not capitulate to the allure of instant gratification, the seduction of comfort, or the tyranny of emotion. Instead, it recognizes the fleeting nature of external pleasure and the enduring value of measured action, patience, and moral integrity. Every act of self-discipline is a vocast for freedom, for mastery over circumstance, and for the elevation of character above the frivolities of mere appetite. Consider the mind as a garden, fertile and alive, yet easily overrun by weeds of indulgence, distraction, and unexamined desire. Self-discipline is the diligent gardener, tending each thought, pruning each impulse, ensuring that what flourishes nourishes virtue, wisdom, and resilience rather than fleeting gratification. The habit of measured action begins with awareness, observing the mind as it inclines toward impatience, anger, or indulgence, and intervening with reasoned choice. Each moment offers an opportunity to practice moderation, to calibrate desire, and to ensure that the life one constructs is coherent, intentional, and aligned with enduring values. Through habitual vigilance, the individual becomes architect rather than wanderer, master rather than servant of circumstance. Self-discipline is inseparable from attention to action. Words, gestures, and decisions are the outward expression of the inner life, and without conscious regulation, even the most virtuous intention can falter. Each choice offers a canvas for deliberate expression, to speak with integrity, to act with honor, to move through the world with purpose. The habit of aligning behavior with reason cultivates a seamless harmony between inner principle and external expression, a life in which thought and action are symphonic, each reinforcing the other in service of virtue. Through repeated practice, the discipline of action becomes instinctual, a natural rhythm in which ethical choice is neither laborious nor arbitrary, but intuitive and inevitable. Desires and appetites, when unexamined, possess a subtle tyranny. They masquerade as necessity, whispering that satisfaction must be immediate, that avoidance of discomfort is paramount. Yet self-discipline illuminates their true nature, transient, insubstantial, often inimical to long-term flourishing. The habit of regulation requires the courage to deny indulgence in the moment, to favor enduring principles over ephemeral reward. Such denial is not deprivation, but refinement, the sharpening of character, the strengthening of will, the cultivation of a mind that moves with clarity and precision through the unpredictable currents of fortune. Every act of restraint reinforces mastery over self, establishing patterns of intentional living that echo through all facets of existence. The practice of self-discipline also demands the cultivation of patience. Life unfolds according to rhythms beyond our control, and the mind that is disciplined learns to endure delay, to persist in the face of frustration, and to act with deliberation rather than haste. Impulsivity, by contrast, fragments effort and dissipates energy, leaving the soul vulnerable to regret, error, and imbalance. Habitually choosing patience cultivates foresight, clarity, and equanimity, ensuring that each action is consonant with reason and aligned with the overarching aims of life. Time, once mastered in this manner, becomes a collaborator rather than an adversary, and the disciplined mind navigates its passage with poise and intentionality. Self-discipline is also the cultivation of courage, for to act deliberately is often to resist external pressures, social expectation, or internal fear. The mind habituated in courage confronts discomfort, uncertainty, and challenge with steadfastness, allowing reason to guide action even when the body or emotion recoils. Habitual courage reinforces self-discipline, for it requires repeated practice to maintain integrity and consistency in the face of provocation or temptation. Through such practice, the soul acquires an inner armor, a resilience that shields from both external coercion and internal disarray, permitting action that is coherent, virtuous, and unwavering. Reflection is a companion of self-discipline. Habitual examination of decisions, conduct, and impulses allows the mind to identify patterns of weakness, to refine strategies of control, and to reinforce the principles that govern ethical living. The act of reviewing one's choices is not punitive but instructive, revealing both progress and opportunities for growth. By making reflection habitual, the individual builds a feedback loop of continual improvement, each day reinforcing the capacity for deliberate, reasoned action. The disciplined mind is therefore also an observant mind, attuned to nuance, responsive to insight, and vigilant against drift into inconsistency or error. Self-discipline further demands attentiveness to the influence of external circumstances. The world brims with distraction, seduction, and the persistent murmur of triviality. Without vigilance, the mind is easily swayed by the ephemeral, the sensational, or the unworthy. Habitual self-discipline requires filtering attention, cultivating discernment, and prioritizing actions, relationships, and engagements that reinforce character rather than undermine it. The disciplined individual chooses focus over frivolity, sustenance over indulgence, principle over caprice, ensuring that time and energy are invested in the construction of a life marked by coherence, purpose, and enduring value in parallel. Self-discipline nurtures freedom. By governing impulses, regulating desire, and aligning action with reason, one becomes impervious to the tyranny of circumstance. External events, fortune and misfortune retain no dominion over the disciplined soul, for it is fortified from within, guided by principles that are enduring, immutable, and self-generated. Each habitual act of restraint, each deliberate choice, each exercise of control strengthens autonomy, making the individual less reactive, more intentional, and increasingly capable of navigating the vicissitudes of life with poise and wisdom. Finally, self-discipline interweaves with joy, for a life lived with deliberate integrity, measured action, and aligned purpose generates satisfaction that is not fleeting but enduring. The habitual exercise of discipline cultivates a serenity that is impervious to whim, a confidence born of consistent practice, and a fulfillment rooted in the conscious shaping of one's own character. Through the daily habit of self-discipline, the mind, body, and soul converge in harmony, producing a life that is coherent, vibrant, and richly textured. A life in which freedom, virtue, and excellence are inseparable companions. To reflect daily upon one's deeds is to enter the sacred workshop of the soul. To inspect the machinery of thought, word, and action with meticulous care, and to forge the character through the relentless pursuit of insight and understanding. Reflection is not a casual glance backward, nor a fleeting musing upon success or failure. It is an intentional, disciplined engagement with the entirety of one's lived experience. Each day, no matter how trivial or extraordinary it may seem, is a repository of lessons, opportunities, and revelations. The habitual practice of reflection cultivates a mind that is vigilant, discerning, and profoundly attuned to the subtle currents that shape conduct and character, ensuring that no action passes unnoticed, no impulse unexamined, and no error left uncorrected. The first principle of reflection is clarity. One must observe without distortion, naming each thought, each emotion, each decision with honesty and precision. The mind that reflects habitually becomes a mirror, capable of showing reality as it is rather than as it is wished to be. This clarity is not born of casual observation, but of rigorous examination, tracing every choice to its origin, questioning the motivations behind each action, and distinguishing between what is rooted in virtue and what is driven by weakness, fear, or fleeting desire. By doing so, one disentangles the mind from the illusions of pride, self-deception, and distraction, laying bare the raw material from which character is formed. Reflection requires courage, for it involves confronting the parts of oneself that are uncomfortable, imperfect, or inconsistent. It is easy to celebrate victories and delight in successes, but it is far more instructive to dwell upon failure, error, and hesitation. Habitually examining missteps cultivates humility, sharpens judgment, and illuminates pathways for improvement. In each shortcoming lies a treasure, a lesson that, if embraced, strengthens resolve and fortifies wisdom. The disciplined mind learns to welcome this scrutiny, understanding that discomfort in reflection is the crucible in which resilience, insight, and moral refinement are forged. The temporal rhythm of daily reflection is essential. At day's end, as the clamor of external life subsides, one turns inward with deliberate attention. This is a sacred pause, a ritual that allows the mind to review the unfolding of hours, to catalog choices, to examine conduct, and to discern patterns that might otherwise escape notice. In this ritual, one may ask, which actions were guided by reason? Which words expressed integrity? Which impulses were resisted or indulged? Which moments offered an opportunity to act with courage, patience, or temperance? And which were neglected? By habituating this inquiry, the soul becomes increasingly self-aware, capable of perceiving subtle flaws and cultivating precision in both judgment and action. Daily reflection is also a practice of gratitude. In observing the events and interactions of the day, one learns to recognize the gifts embedded in experience, the hidden instruction in challenge, and the opportunity present even in adversity. Each misfortune, each trial, becomes a teacher. Each act of kindness, each instance of cooperation, a source of reinforcement for virtuous living. The habit of acknowledging the lessons and blessings of each day fosters a mind that is resilient, appreciative, and attuned to the profound richness of life. No matter how humble or fleeting the moment, self-examination through reflection is inseparable from the practice of intention. By reviewing past actions, one discerns the gap between ideal conduct and actual behavior, between aspiration and realization. This awareness fuels deliberate improvement, transforming insight into actionable refinement. The habit of reflecting not only illuminates error, but also reinforces commitment, strengthens resolve, and consolidates the alignment of thought and action with the highest principles. Over time, this habitual scrutiny cultivates a mind that is precise, vigilant, and consistently oriented toward virtue, in which ethical living is not intermittent or accidental, but natural, cultivated, and instinctive. Reflection also nurtures foresight. By reviewing the outcomes of choices, one perceives patterns, anticipates consequences, and develops the capacity to navigate future circumstances with greater wisdom and poise. The mind trained in habitual reflection learns to act preemptively, to foresee pitfalls, to anticipate challenges, and to craft strategies that maximize virtue and minimize error. Each day's review is therefore both a mirror of the past and a lantern illuminating the path forward, allowing the disciplined soul to traverse life with intention, clarity, and moral coherence. Moreover, daily reflection cultivates emotional mastery. By observing the interplay of feeling, thought, and action, one gains insight into the sources of anger, fear, desire, and impatience. This understanding empowers the mind to respond deliberately rather than react impulsively, to temper emotion with reason, and to cultivate serenity amid the inevitable turbulence of human existence. Habitual reflection transforms emotional turbulence into disciplined awareness, creating a mind that is calm, resilient, and capable of sustaining virtuous action under all circumstances. The process of reflection is also enriched by humility and honesty. One must confront oneself without pretense, acknowledge both virtue and failure, and resist the temptation to rationalize, justify, or excuse. In this uncompromising honesty lies the power of reflection, the ability to recognize patterns of weakness, to identify recurring errors, and to cultivate the habits necessary for correction and growth. Over time, habitual honesty and self-examination fosters integrity, courage, and moral clarity, allowing the mind to become a steadfast guide rather than a servant to impulse, deception, or vanity. Reflection intertwines with gratitude, humility, courage, and foresight to form a composite habit that transforms life. The soul habituated to daily examination becomes a vigilant observer of its own condition, continuously refining, adjusting, and enhancing its alignment with virtue. Each day is both a lesson and an opportunity, each moment a chance to practice the art of deliberate living, each experience a building block in the edifice of character. By embracing reflection as a sacred habitual practice, one cultivates a mind that is self-aware, self-directed, and profoundly attuned to the principles of reason, integrity, and moral excellence taught through the disciplined habit of daily reflection. One achieves a rhythm of conscious living, a flow of awareness in which every thought, word, and action is illuminated by scrutiny, insight, and discernment. This habit renders the soul resilient against distraction, impervious to the seductions of superficiality, and capable of navigating life with grace, clarity, and purpose. Reflection becomes both shield and compass, allowing one to endure hardship with composure, to act with integrity in every circumstance, and to cultivate a life of enduring significance and harmony. Ultimately, the habit of reflecting daily upon one's deeds is the gateway to self-mastery. It is the practice through which wisdom is acquired, virtue is reinforced, and life is transformed from a chaotic unfolding into a deliberate, meaningful, and intentional journey. By embracing this sacred ritual, the mind, heart, and soul converge in harmony, creating a life in which reason, integrity, and courage are habitual companions. Reflection is the crucible in which excellence is forged, and the habitual seeker of insight emerges each day more disciplined, more serene, and more fully alive, standing unshaken amid the trials and triumphs of existence, anchored by the luminous clarity of conscious self-examination.